right, by request for this week's Technique of the Week, we've had a lot of people that have talked about they get their guard passed a lot, and they want some ways to prevent the guard pass. And so I thought I'd cover, kind of not necessarily, individual techniques, so much as a systematic approach to it, and really some theories of my mentality on what I'm thinking when I'm playing guard against somebody who's aggressively trying to pass. So when I'm in my guard, some of the first key points that I really need to think about are, one, I have to be pretty good at passing the guard in order to be good at preventing someone from passing the guard. So, for instance, if I know what he wants to do, then I know what I don't want him to do, right? So I know he wants good posture. I know he wants that good upward posture, and the reason for that isn't so much the angle of him being directly up, it's the angle of my hips. If I break his posture and get here, the angle of my hips is now at 90 degrees or less. Whereas if he is postured, the angle of my hips is really far out. So when I'm in the guard, when I'm in someone's guard and I'm trying to pass it, I generally think less about my posture and more about their hip angle. But one sure way to get it past 90 degrees is to have good posture. So I don't want that. I want to keep him down here. It's much more difficult, significantly more difficult for him to pass my guard if I have good hip angles. Also, not just sitting here with a closed guard. Even at a bad hip angle for him, if I just sit here, he's going to be able to break my guard open and drive one leg to the floor, go into a staple pass. Okay, there's a lot of very effective passes when he's in that zone of where he's not getting hit. If it's an MMA fight, he still has some very effective options. So next mentality piece that I want to use from here is I want to be on offense. If I'm on offense and he's on defense, he's not passing my guard. He's trying not to get swept, not to get submitted. So from here, if I just sit here flat on my back, I'm losing. Okay, so what I want to be doing is I want to be actively approaching attacks. And I'll do that in different ways so that the camera can see. One of the things that I'll do is I'll keep them really low, and then I'll bump with the elbow to create space, and now I'm here. So now I've got a scissor sweep option. Okay, if I go outside the arm and I tap it down, now I've got triangle choke options. Okay, I want an offensive mentality. I'm attacking him, he's defending. Next, I want to have 4 points of contact on him at all times. That's usually a given, but not always. If we're in a closed guard, it's a given. You've got 2 arms, 2 legs on him. If we're in an open guard, so if we're here, we're playing wrist control, you'll see a lot of guys that when they're here, they're sitting here reaching and they're trying to reach, and you lose control of this arm, and I'm sitting here doing this. This is not 4 points of contact. All right, I want solid points of contact when I go to control. So in this scenario, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, if I lose this arm and he pulls it away, I have to change that. Okay, so now it's 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, always with 4 points of contact. If he stands up in my guard, okay, so he's here and he stands up, well, I better have 4 solid points of contact. So I'm going to be here, you can be here. I mean, there's a lot of options, a lot of different sweep opportunities. If you go from here and you sweep under and you're going into a good solid X guard, okay, this hand, a lot of times guys don't know what to do with an X guard. This is not a point of contact. So I'll start pushing, I'll pull down, I'll start attacking this arm. I just have to have this as a point of contact. If I'm in half guard, for instance, the more contact I can have on him, generally the better. And so, in other words, if I'm here, this is technically 4 points of contact, but they're very minimal points. I have very little surface area touching him. I've got this one little point and these 2 little points. Which way would I have more control? This way or this way? Okay? A lot more surface area, a lot more control. Not to mention that I also have countermeasures against one another. They're counterbalancing. So I'm giving outward pressure with my shin while pulling in here. That's a much tighter control than just 2 completely unrelated points of contact, right? So 4 points of contact is very important. Next, hip movement. This goes back to having that offensive mentality, but hip movement is just absolutely critical. So I'm here and he opens my guard somehow. However he goes to pass it. If I just sit here, I assure you he will pass. I mean, absolutely. So from here, whenever he opens my guard, immediately I will start moving, creating space. Okay? So now he wants to go around my guard either direction, hip movement. All right? You don't have to have your legs totally wrapped around the guy in order to still be in guard. A lot of guys, especially beginners that aren't used to some of the more open guard, some of the more, I think, offensive, but they are a little more high risk. If you're not used to this kind of guard, you feel like, oh God, I'm losing it, and he's going to leave his arms, and he's going to push down, and now he's out. Well, man, that's no good. Well, yeah, but if I know he has that option, I might know that he's going for it. So in that scenario, when we're here, if this arm comes free and I lose that point of contact, I'm not going to sit with my hips at this angle. Immediately, I'm going to be changing. Going here, I just went for the underhook because I'm going to go for the armbar or the sweep. Okay? So knowing his options gives me a lot of opportunity to know what I wouldn't want him to do. Another scenario of this is if he goes one arm under for a single under or a double under, whatever. So he goes under, I know I'm going to get passed from here, right? Well, in order for me to not just sit here, I want to find his tricep and create an angle. So as he walks around, I'm just going to push this away right here, not letting him get that stapled position. So you can see that from the other angle. We're here, he goes for single under, double under, it doesn't matter, grabbing the tricep, and as soon as his head clears, right here, driving it. Before that arm touches the ground or other parts of my body, driving it away. This will be a scramble, okay, which is a heck of a lot better than him being in side control. So from here, in this scramble, I'm just going to sit up, start turning, and now I'm back up, which is a lot better place to be, right? So that's another mentality, another systematic approach to it. You don't have to just sit there and try to hold on as tight as you can. You're going to have that offensive mentality going into it. Lastly, chaining things together. Too many guys, when they're especially beginners, when they're starting, doesn't matter which position, guard, mount, whatever, they get stuck on one path in their mind and they can't get out of it. So, for instance, some guys will just think sweep, sweep, sweep. I gotta have a sweep. I gotta have a sweep. Well, yeah. Other guys think submission, submission, submission. I've got to sub this guy. That's fine. But you want to be able to really change those interchangeably on the fly. So when I'm here and I've got this open guard going, if I go right here, I can go into a scissor sweep. Okay? I can also tap this elbow down and go into a triangle choke. Okay? If he starts to posture from the triangle, I'll go into the arm bar. Alright? If he goes down out of the arm bar, well, I'm back to the triangle choke. I mean, you want to think in chains. So another system of what you can be doing here is if I go for this arm bar, I'm thinking in chains here. So when I go for this arm bar, notice that I also went here. Okay? So now, if I feel like I'm going to get stacked and I can't extend him, I don't want to sit here while he rips his arm out and passes. So what I'll do instead is, as I touch this, I'll then drive it and go here. Now I've got an arm bar. Another opportunity. Okay? Thinking in chains. I always want to advance my position, and if I can catch a submission, great. But from here, if I go arm bar, and he pulls the arm bar out, well, immediately start swimming. Go for the omoplata. So let's say he rolls on the omoplata. That's fine. Now I'm here, and I'm in side control. What did we effectively just get? An advancement from guard to side control. Took us 3 steps to get there. That's 3 opportunities for us either ending the match or, at worst, advancing our position. Having that offensive mentality is huge. Thinking in chains, submitting and sweeping in chains systematically throughout your entire offensive game.